I'm here today with Toby Zoates, one of the original tin shedders, and we're going to have a look at some of the wonderful exhibition here today on the walls here at the Tin Sheds Gallery. So, what do you think of the show overall, Toby?
I think it's really good. It covers a lot of subjects of community importance, protests or community centres, and it's quite variegated. There's all different styles of art here, from photographs to installations. If you turn around, see the barricade over there, which is a kind of version of a barricade some protesters might set up across something. For instance, a house being destroyed that they don't want destroyed. If you go over there to the video on the wall, you can see where some piece of architecture is being destroyed to put up something else, maybe not quite as heritage. So there's all styles here. And these
what about the posters? I think they're quite amazing, the collection here. Are there any of yours here actually?
Yeah, I got two here.
Can you just show us which ones?
I did a lot of rock and roll posters, and particularly for this one, my name, I didn't sign it or anything, but I did it on computer paper because we had no money and we just had to get a message out quickly. Yeah, the equipment got stolen from the nightclub rag, so they asked me, could I do something, put around the city, maybe someone knew where that equipment might have gone, but they never did recover the equipment, sadly.
It's in red. Was this done only in red or in other colours?
No, I did. I'm surprised when I see it red here. I forgot. Often when I'm making posters, I'll try out one colour, and if I think maybe you can't read it or it's not going to stand out enough, I did mostly in black and white. But now I see the red. I really like it, and I don't understand why I didn't do all red. That's just an idiosyncrasy of poster making.
What about the figures? I see there's a couple of different figures here, a police brutality, a hanging figure, a naked woman on a cross.
Well, it's all versions of being a victim. I mean, you can get robbed on the street, mugged, you can be stabbed in the back. Women basically get a raw deal even in today's society. They don't get equal pay.
So who is the shark here?
I would say it's capitalism. In the end we're made slaves for money. Wage slavery.
I notice in a few of your works there's police brutality is shown.
Yeah, well, I got treated pretty badly by the police in my life, and I was framed for an armed robbery at one point. But being queer, I grew up as a criminal. There's nothing like growing up as a oppressed criminal to make you sit up straight and wonder what your position in the world really is and how you're going to fight it. I'm part of the 78ers riot that we were having a march and a Mardi Gras in 1978, June, and the police attacked us. What can I tell you? And beat the shit out of us and arrested 50 of us. We had 3 marches, and in the third one, they also beat us up. I got kicked in the head. So, I'm pretty uptight about police, especially when they framed me for armed robbery.
What's the other one of your posters?
Okay, here we go. I did this one, and while it advertises a film that I made, this exhibition was at a place called Art Space. It was down near Central Railway Station. So it was a kind of community access gallery where people could show their work. Secondly, anti-uranium, anti-class, and talking about elite classes who get the resources to survive properly. Again, the police chasing him, land rights. I try in my work to put a lot of issues. There's the rainbow snake that's been awakened, the rainbow serpent, because of uranium being dug out of the land. The film has gone on to show around the world. I won Bronze Dragon in Krakow, Poland. It's shown a lot. And while it might not seem political, the film itself is so-called political. And all these posters might have a straight-out political message, For instance, women who toil or rape crisis. But there's an awful lot of other posters here that advertise, here's one for feminist films at the Filmmakers Co-op that used to be in St. Peter's Lane. Here's one that might seem to be a party poster, but the money raised would have gone towards some community centre or to raise money for rape crisis or whatever. Like,
so
all the benefit shows here.
What are your memories of actually the working process at the tin sheds?
Well, it was open access to just about any community or group or individual who wanted to come in, and I went in 77. I was arrested with a lot of people at White Bay trying to stop uranium being shipped, and I wanted to print a poster for a benefit gig where we could pay off our fines. They allowed me to do that. They liked the poster I made, so they allowed me to come back again. Mostly Chips McAnulty, who was, I don't know what you'd say, we didn't have leaders in those days, but he was certainly a force of nature, and he is a very good guy, and he mostly was the one who sponsored me, you might say, just allowed me to keep coming in. I wasn't a member of the collective Earthworks. I'm an independent. I suppose that's in my nature. Some people would dislike such a thing. We've all got to be in collectives, but that old saw about collectives where everyone's supposed to be equal. Well, some are more equal than others, and as an independent, I never have to worry about that. What was it like to work here? Well, it was hard work. You generally try to get a friend to help you. So as you're printing, they would rack it. When you had to rack it yourself, it doubled the work, right? So it was always good to have a friend with you. Cleaning the screens was the toughest bit because you had to use this really, what would you call it, cancer-inducing solvent. And honestly, we didn't, especially the early days, we didn't wear those masks that can protect you. I didn't do that much printing in the end, so I didn't suffer particularly that. Others who were printing a poster a day, a different poster every day, I would do one every month. Michael Callahan printed one a day, and he ended up with liver cancer. So it is a really tough process. You've got to have air circulating, what do you call that, when air's coming in and out? Ventilation. You've got to have ventilation. You've got to be able to clean. We would always take the screens out of the shed to clean it out in the fresh air.
What about getting materials such as inks and papers and all that?
Well, we try to print on art paper. When we had no money, like with this one, I used computer paper. Other people used other kinds of crazy paper, whether it was brown paper, bag paper, or the tin sheds had it available, and you just bought it off them.
Okay.
The paints, I paid for everything. I cleaned up after myself. I asked permission to do all this. Yeah, the paper is expensive. This art paper that you can see, the good ones printed on. I mean, Jan, even that's not the best paper. I've got to try to find this is good paper, I think. It costs money, and the paints also pretty expensive.
So how many copies of each poster would you have printed?
Usually we did a 400 print run, which is a lot, right? If any, I would have only done about 100 of these. Depending on the issue and whatever, if it was a limited art gallery type poster, I'm going to try and find one. This one here, this wouldn't have been pasted around the city, I don't think. This would have been limited, maybe 20, 30, 50 of them. And I mean, I never had...
So what was the difference between the ones that would go up on a telegraph pole, for example, and the art one that you're actually referring to? Because obviously a lot did go up on telegraph poles, didn't they?
Yeah, sure, walls and whatever.
Or they'd be mostly about concerts and benefit concerts?
Had the idea that they would show in an art gallery and that would be their space, and they had it in their head it would make it into an archive, or they could make money down the track from it, and which is fair enough. Us artists are broke and we need to make money. I pasted this on walls around the city, and it's a very elaborate poster, right? It's 6 screens, because I, of course, obsessively had to put gold on top of everything. But I pasted, sadly enough, I end up with virtually none myself to sell later on. I could have had a nicer old age if I'd thought about all that. I'm the type that lives very much in the moment, the here and now, and I'm from that generation of the 60s where we didn't even think we'd reach 30, much less 50, 60, I'm 70 now.
So you've got a mixture of posters here that are both really street posters but also art posters.
Yeah.
Okay, well I think that's been great talking to you today, Toby. Thanks a lot for that.
Okay.